Oh, yeah. Jump up, and get down. Hey, it's boxy time. Let's go. Two guys, one box. Hold on. Let me turn off this dehumidifier. You know what I mean? I got noises coming all over.
I don't know what that's got to do with anything, Brian. I
It was
really don't
loud.
know.
It was loud in my purview. Hey, this is the best boxing podcast they got going in the game today. They used to call it the ropes and, inside this hole and welcome to the state of combat. Now we call it inside the box. It's Brian Campbell, the proprietary of this channel. But you really came here to see that salty ass mustache of New York Times bestselling author and Detroit suburban resident, Rafe Bartholomew, everyone's favorite local Rafist. We call him Statch up in these parts there. And Rafe, Monzo is ready. This is Rafe's favorite weekend, combining his two favorite things, women and boxing, and putting them together in a big time historic sandwich. You ready to eat? All right. You ready to eat, Friday?
Oh, Brian, I have to tell you, Brian, it's going to be a fantastic weekend. Amazing. We're making history. History will be made. And I love Amanda. She's such a fine lass. We're going to make another great fight, Brian. I love it. I love women's boxing.
Get your paint cans ready. Oh, those are the wrong chicks. Sorry. Here we go.
We could paint. I'll paint whoever. You know what I'm saying?
Paint it black. There you go. Hey, Rafe Bugs, how the hell are you in your regular life? I mean, this is like our fantasy get together with the guys, crack a cold one on a Thursday morning and talk box. But what about your real life?
Listen, you don't want to ask those questions because you don't want to know the answers, Brian. You don't want to know how dark it gets inside the mind of your local rapists, okay? Because I'm making decisions out here. I'm coming back from Costco thinking, do I need the 6-month supply of worm medicine for my senior dog? I don't know. I don't know, man. Do I have that much rope left in this incredible bond? I don't know. That's what I'm thinking about today.
Feed him that straight that straight Koger diet zero cola that you've been ingesting and injecting into your veins on a daily.
The secret to long life for man, his best friend, and his woman.
All right, there you go. There it is, right there. The box is big. Not just this weekend. We're beginning a 2-weekend stretch of a lot of box, right? From the Chicks Friday night, Ring 3 on Saturday, and how about Usyk Dubois the following weekend? Bam Rodriguez in one of his 18-fight schedule with Turkey over the next year, and of course, Pacquiao Barrios. Will Manny ruin Sisters weekend? That's what we got to find out. Okay.
Will she be? Will sister meet Mommy D? Can she outpray Mommy D?
Yeah, meet me down on the D, sister. Yeah. No. Wow. Would you rather? No, we'll take that back. I got better cigar lady jokes later in the show. All right, there we go. Hey, a lot of people have been asking,
which card will she be disgracing this weekend?
Oh, stop that! I think she hosted the workouts
MVP probably
for the Ring 3. She hosted the public workouts there in the ring. The interview.
That's rough.
All right. A lot of people want this to be a permanent part of our show, so let's hit it.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
There it is.
They say, Brian, all right? It didn't happen. They said it happened.
It happened. What happened? Yeah, well, you know what happened one time? Well, first of all, what happened a lot of times was, hey, that black guy, he hits hard. But that pale stretch 6'4" hits hard. Do you remember when you hosted that CNN Philippines special on basketball, and then you went to the pickup court with that tiny have a fight with the Filipino man, and you hit that motherfucker hard? Do you remember that? You remember that?
Yeah, that was actually Nat Geo Philippines. That was before I was working for CNN. But yeah, that was in Pinoy Hoops. I caught this man right on the nose with an elbow, and we were playing a hood sport at that time.
Yes.
And like I was when I felt that contact, because it was clean. It was like hitting right the barrel of the bat. Perfect follow through. You knew there was a pop and everything. And he was little, but he like. I did not want his whole family to jump me right there, and thankfully they didn't.
Dude, the guy was like 4'6", by the way.
I didn't say just him. I said like a lot of guys.
And I hit him hard, really hard.
Yeah, really, really hard. Okay, you know how hard you have to hit a guy to break his nose? Good Lord! Wow, Rafe. Great moments in Filipino history. One day we'll get the Baki Kong files loaded up for good right here. Okay, two hard men. Welcome to Sid White and our fantastic group of diehard viewers that will follow us anywhere. I mean, you got to give it up for those people. Some of these people have been doing BC and Rafe since the beginning. You know,
longer than since we've been doping, Brian.
Yeah, exactly. And Ian knows 4'6" is probably a number 4 position in the Philippines. All right.
That's not true at all.
All right. I do have a lot of new toys to play with today. I feel like I want to just play with them all.
Where does he get these wonderful toys?
You know what I mean? It's like I want to hit it hard right now,
Come on, let me put some water on your balls.
Eric. Okay, there we go. There it is. Rafe, would you say right now that with the next 2 weekends, you are erect about the box that's coming up? And I'm not just talking about the historic all-female card. Would you say
not just that?
Would you say that all of these 2 weekends and the return of Senador Pacquiao has you feeling it or no? None of
I'm feeling it because it's an exciting look. We've just had a pretty quiet month or so of box, and we'll go through it, but I can't think of one fight that really, really gets me like full mast phoner here. That's gonna happen, but I will. I'm
pro boner, just so you know. All right,
I got a half chub for everything.
God. I left with his belt and his girl.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah, which is probably good because there's so much good boxing to take in these next couple of weeks. Yeah, I don't want to shoot my load before I've seen it all. I want to enjoy every, or you just made me. You're making me do what I do. I know you're
doing what we do. I mean, are you like, somebody call Sal Pal?
Take one round at a time. Let him shoot his load, and then down the stretch, do what we do best. When did you think that the fight was starting to turn when he had shot his load and you could come out? When he started shooting his load in the first.
A lot of
3 load watches in one shot. Wow.
Amazing stuff right there. We almost feel back with these drops, right? This is the comeback. We're on the comeback trail right now.
Sal Peter Northalonio.
Yeah, he just signed, by the way, re-signed a 2-year extension with the worldwide leader.
Peter North is still doing the thing?
I don't know if he's.
You mean Sal Pal?
Yeah, I'm sure somebody's catching that mess from Big Pete somewhere. But there we go. All right, hey, that guy, it's off the rails.
Then he does what he does, and you know what he does.
Yes, exactly. Do you know what they do in that place that they call No Box, No Life?
Yeah, I do know what they do. They eat contaminated beef.
So was it Emmanuel Rodriguez that became the 7th?
Francisco, I believe. Emmanuel Rodriguez is the former bantamweight champ who got sent to hell by Inoue in the World Boxing Super Series.
Wow, this is worse than Joe Rogan and Jim Lampley talking about how Richard Steele killed himself when he's still alive. He's still alive. Okay. Who just popped? Dude, who just popped dirty? I'm trying to find it.
Francisco, right? Francisco Rodriguez?
I like to say that. Francisco. I love to say that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Nobody puts the journalism inside the box like the Comeback Boys over here. Wait, what? So is this like the 7th or 8th fighter in the last 5-6 years?
7 is the number that I saw going around on the Twitter. And yeah, that's 7. That's pretty much the whole camp. Is there anyone who hasn't popped yet?
No, but Hank Williams the fourth is trying to fight us on this, and I'm here for it. Fight me on it. Rodriguez had the no box, no life on his shorts, but he did not train with Reynoso. That's fake news.
Oh, where does he get who does his nutrition though?
Yeah, what pharmacy is it? The
Ripper
same one that
Nutrition or Chepo Nutrition?
Yeah, that's a fair point. So a lot of people doing drugs in this game. I mean, it's 2023, 2025. Athletes do a lot of drugs,
Angel Garcia told us a good 5, 6, 7 years ago. All right, we've been doping since the beginning. I upgraded my liquid crack to this Celsius, and
that'll kill you.
It's strong. It's strong.
That'll kill you.
You out here drinking AG1 and all kinds of weird.
Hey, AG1 ain't gonna kill you. It might not save your life.
They give you a packet of weird ass powder and tell you it's vegetables, and you believe it.
What did you make of the breaking news overnight that does surround Saturday's Ring 3 fight card from the Louis Armstrong Tennis Stadium in Queens, New York? Back on the play-by-plays. I mean, if Joe Rogan could get Trump elected, did Joe Rogan just get Lampley his job back? Because Lamps had signed a last-minute deal literally 3 days before the fight to return to the controls. And I've been reading Top Cooperator's tweets, and it makes me feel like he's also going to be back.
You've had to do that, by the way.
It makes me feel like, based on what he's saying in response to fans, that he's also going to be back, at least doing post-fight interviews. So get ready for a spicy Shakur post-fight. But are we bringing back the Lampley, Tarver, Coppinger classic trio on Saturday?
I don't know. I don't consider that news or breaking news or interesting news. You know me, man. If Brian Campbell is not on the call, I don't care who's on the call.
Okay, right? I appreciate that.
And I also, with one asterisk there, I prefer not to have any cigar ladies on my call.
Oh boy,
stay off the call.
All right. Willie Monroe Jr. No, take that back. Andy Ruiz popped for meat sweats. Yeah, after that, the every time he went to lunch at Downey.
I was going to say, for Andy Ruiz issues, do we blame the Reynoso camp? Do we blame the Downey Pizza Company? It's probably up in the air.
I mean, we already know that everybody's using in the box, all right? Everybody's taking something. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
That is unfortunately probably true, but what are you going to do about it right now? So what, you're asking me about the booth? That's kind of disappointing as a fan. Like maybe this card will work out better. The fights will play out and give Cooperator and Lamps and Tarver something to talk about, and it won't suck as much as that whole Times Square thing sucked. That's my most hopeful outlook for this, but they didn't sound great. Lampley held his own, right? Lampley still has it, but Tarver and Copper.
Yeah, dude. Everybody loves Tarver. Like, he's a really nice guy. He's very charismatic. Yeah. Did you hear? Did we just go silent there? Or I don't know.
I hear you. I hear
All right. I was going to say that he doesn't really bring much. Like, it doesn't feel like he follows the modern game. But that's just me talking.
Well, he's still a name. You got to put a name in there.
Yeah. Well, let me put a name on this. How about the great Saul from Louisville, home of the Louisville Lip, Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, supporting the show big time. He loves the box. He also will clean your gutters and repair your roof in the greater Louisville area. So reach out to this fantastic human being. Thank you for your support. Hank Williams says, forget Lampley's geriatric ass on the mic. We want BC and Rafe on the translations, no matter which language. Could you handle right now with no prep, full on Tagalog translating?
Yeah, pretty easily. The only issue is, again, sometimes, like, especially with Boo Boy, he could be speaking to Manny in Bisaya, which is a different language, and that I would not be able to handle. But if he keeps it in Tagalog, I got you. Also, when I do translations, I have to warn you, no matter what language I'm translating from, I'm giving it back to you in a bad Irish accent.
Okay.
That's what we're doing. That's how we do.
There it is. A question coming in and some great support as always here on this pod from Ian. We appreciate you. Is BC calling Manny's fight? Yes, BC will be the color commentator on next week's PBC on Prime. I don't believe I'll be handling the in-ring interviews, but I'll be calling the action with my friends there.
I'm gonna have to boycott, divest, and sanction this whole card if you're not in the ring, man. I need you in there talking about the gloves of Clint
I know. I can't really comment on that, but that, you can only control certain things in life, but I'm going to bring it. I'm going to absolutely bring it. All right. What is Signature Sound saying? Tarver's great with the X's and O's and does follow the modern box life. Okay. I've been a little critical. Right. Nice guy.
Now you're wrong.
Charismatic. I don't, but that's fine. That's fine. There we go. Rafe, before we get into looking ahead to this absolutely loaded box weekend, what else you got? What else? I depend on you to bring some flavor to this soup here. What do you got?
Flavor. Yes. Shit, man. I mean, I know it's a little bit late, but I think I would like to say, coming off of last weekend, first, let me say something.
Yes, let me say first something. Yes.
We have a new George Cambosos, and his name is Jack Catterall. And look, boxing needs those guys. They can compete at a world level. They're not dangerous to the guys you actually want winning your belts, and they're durable. They come in shape. They talk a little bit of trash. They bring a little bit of spice, maybe a little too much for Cambosos. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see. And in fact, when Catterall is done being George Cambosos, we have a new Jack Catterall, and his name is Joe Cordina.
Oh boy!
All the same bloke. All like they'll fight right. They'll come there, get gutted. By the way, how is Cambosos not gone to? You think that's next? It has to be, right? Cambosos goes to the UK and loses to all their fighters.
All of them. Is he going to move up and fight that pretty boy Josh Kelly? I mean, that guy's got to get a title shot at 54.
He's too big. Right? He's too big for Cambosos. Cambosos, what is he, 140 at the last fight?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. He's going to end up giving his soul away at welterweight. You know that.
I'd rather watch 80-year-old Michael Katsidis, to tell you the truth.
Oh, wow. What is your favorite?
Was a warrior.
What is your favorite Katsidis fight? Is it the incredible
Marquez, clearly.
No, I'm going to throw the first Graham Earl fight in there. You remember that absolute banger?
War.
Yeah, that one was. Marquez was great. Casamayor, that was a fun ass fight, right?
Look, Katsidis, he brought it, man. And plus, man, if Cambosos had some power like that, then he'd be an interesting fighter, but he doesn't.
Yeah. Operators, indeed. Hank Williams says Cambosos went to the UK and smoked Lee Selby, the Welsh Mayweather, and was gutted at the time. All right, there you go. Hey, couple questions coming in. Oh, first from Sid White. Fantastic support of this show and this podcast. We appreciate you. He is very glad Jim is doing blow by blow. I am too. I did want to see Lamps get one more chance, Biggie, right?
Isn't this great? My flight leaves at 8. Her flight lands at 9. My game just rewind. Anyway,
what the fuck? Who the fuck is this? Paging me at 5.
That's not the same song. That's Warning, man.
I'm allowed to just free flow and
I'd like to hear you freestyle right now, Brian. Come on.
Freestyle, no styles free except the radio. Let's hear from J Ray BO2. Do you prefer pancit or lumpia or adobo, Rafa?
I'd say adobo, especially, CPA, chicken pork adobo. But if you really want to get me going, you want paeng to come out, put some papaitan on the table, a little bit of some ginisang munggo, KBL, Kajos Langka Baboy. Woo! Yes, sir.
Can I get those out of Winchell's or no?
You can get a donut there.
Okay. All right. What's that thing I need to check out in the States now? That our buddy, who's our guy that does that podcast that we really like? Neil Punselin.
Oh yeah, Neil's the man. That podcast it was called First Ballot Podcast. He got 2 great seasons in. Fun. I've been meaning to go back and listen again because he was so talking
to you when you were on. I was on to talk about Conor McGregor. You were on to talk about they got Lou Duva on a stretcher, and you guys talked about what's the name of that chain that's in the States that's Filipino based?
Jollibee?
Yes. What is that again?
It's fried chicken. It's nice. And they have it's one place where you can reliably get Pinoy spaghetti in the States, a lot of different cities, and that's nice.
Okay. Real quick from Ian, Rafe, do you like bay leaves on your adobo?
I think it's a mandatory ingredient when you're cooking. You need, I don't want to eat the bay leaf. I will eat around it when I'm actually get
wow.
down to business. But
I didn't need to know that deep
look,
about your personal life. All right.
I cook. Or is bay leaf some kind of code word here?
No, but you were talking aggressively, like with sauce or maple syrup. You know what I'm saying? You know.
No, I mean, it's an same thing with the whole
With
peppercorns. You need to put the whole peppercorns in your adobo, but if you can, you don't want to have too many mouthfuls of whole peppercorn because that shit will give you a little jolt. It's like there's a reason they put those up fighting cocks. Fighting roosters' asses. Get them aggressive.
Wow.
Yeah. You didn't know that. Yeah.
I don't even know what to do with that.
Hey, that black guy, he hits hard.
Always does. Couple more quick ones. Ian saying again, I think Rafe is a dinuguan guy.
Oh, you said that really well. Dinuguan. Yes, I do like. I make dinuguan. I go to the 168 Asian market and buy the pork blood there and cook it up, vinegar, bang, 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 bang.
Bang, bang. All night long. Bang, bang, bang.
Turn into Manny Pacquiao versus Joshua
Here's
Clottey.
the deal. I want Jim to bring back, like I've been, obviously I'm trying to create my own lane in broadcasting, but I can't stop doing famous Emmanuel Stewart calls or paraphrasing great Larry Merchant moments. I wish Jim would just play his greatest hits the entire night. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, I don't think anyone, especially at this point in Jim's career, he has a blank check to do whatever he wants. He can have fun, say whatever he wants. Yeah, go back, throw in some Easter eggs for the hardcores, right?
Yeah,
Give us an It Happened. Give us bang, 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 all
bang.
that,
Try and stop that.
Bang, try and stop it. Bang, bang.
Yes. Dinuguan is just pork blood stew, apparently. Let's go to
what it is, yeah.
better topics here. Speaking of bang, Hank wants to know, Alicia Baumgartner, the bomb, is back this weekend. Is that a hashtag risk it all in your life, Rafe? Or
look,
just Tony Harrison's, all right?
I think it's probably, look, I don't like to say I would risk it all for anything, right?
Yes.
But I would have to agree with that assessment.
All right, thank you very much. I do favor the Detroit. Did you see? By the way, our man Tony Harrison, super bad. Not Mrs. Mannix. I'm talking about the real Superbad. He just signed with Salida Promotions in Detroit. He's back.
Oh, I will go to some of the, because they do those shows at the Motor City Casino or sometimes these sad Italian restaurants in Warren. I will go there.
Bottle of red, bottle of washed. He's going to be the co-main to the next Clarissa Shields heavyweight.
It's like
fight.
These Italian restaurants, they have it's the same place in these places in Warren. They're always got some name like Andiamo, and it's bad banquet hall. There'll be like a crappy wedding from like 12 to 4 p.m. Then the Filipino Nurses Association has ballroom dance competition. Then the boxing comes in. I don't know when they actually serve food. All
right. Also, to close out these ridiculous comments, J. Ray refuses to eat the peppercorns. It's a personal preference. Also, D. Hoff saying if Manny sleeps Barrios, we need a. Oh my God! Look at this. I did drop a look at this, man. I feel like I lean on the Emmanuel Stewart playbook because I just love he did the Raygasms before Flores and Mancini ever joined forces, right?
And also they weren't performative and they were right at the perfect moments. I mean, he saved them for absolute insane, like mind-blowing moments in the ring.
Girov, right? Yeah.
And Berto Ortiz, like parts where it just, the action is incredible. The momentum is swinging back and forth like crazy in the same rounds, trading knockdowns. And it's, oh my God, look at this.
I gotta add that to the clearly I have to
I would like to see you incorporate some of the disappointed Emmanuel Stewart sounds. Remember, like when he gets disappointed about a fighter not acting like a fighter, as Teddy would say in the ring. When he got disappointed about Floyd taking advantage of VO in that after VO was trying to kiss and make up, and he hits him with the 1-2 sucker punch. He's like, oh, son, don't do that.
We got a good version of that in the Uskatagi Darrell fight.
Yes,
when Uncle Darrell came in and they were like, oh no, that's assault. Yeah, that's assault. There it is.
To say
also from Lazy Bed, our Midwestern
teenager,
yes. Pinkabet is good. It's hardy, he says.
Pinakbet is good.
Pinakbet.
That's
okay.
It is. Right. You would like that. That's except bitter melon can be a little bit of a a acquired taste to the American palate, but it's really good.
Do you have
salt
access
it
in
first.
Michigan to any Filipino delicacies?
Yes, yeah. I mean, there are some half decent. They aren't great Filipino restaurants here, but there's some pretty good ones that get you through the day. Also, most of the ingredients you can make almost anything with what's available in the Asian markets here. So I do all right. I get by.
All right, I appreciate it because I want to come out to Michigan to call a fight, and then we'll go on a food tour. We'll go to the Masonic Hall. I mean, it's gonna be great.
I mean, it's great because all you see as a non-Michigander of our age, this is what happens. You're driving around and all you see are like references to Eminem and 8 Mile, like start to like, oh, Cranbrook, I know that place, or that's where Clarence went, or yeah, exactly, or there's like Kniff Avenue, and you're like, oh my God, Ken Kniff from Connecticut, like really, that's Brian Campbell.
De La Cruz is right. Manny knocks out Barrios, and the commentators table will be moving without hands. Thank you. Maybe possibly during the Barrios ring walk too, depending on how many Figueroas are with him. All right, that's a fun joke that we're playing out. Also, De La Cruz says clean shaven Rafe is ready for women's boxing. I mean, we might as well turn that corner and get into it in a second. Although we do have some support coming in from Matt Borgerson, appreciative of you. Early question. We'll field this question right now because of your generosity. Do you think Shakur versus Zepeda will end up like Floyd Castillo won? He says, I don't expect a sudden improvement in Shakur from his previous 3 performances. Can I counter that and say maybe it'll look a lot more like Floyd Corrales or Floyd Gaddy?
Floyd Gotti came to mind. Look, this is the issue, though. And you're the one who sold me on this idea, Brian. Shakur's hands, they don't hold up anymore. He hurts him in every fight.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That's a problem against a volume puncher. He needs to be able, can Shakur outclass this guy? I think he has the ability to, but if his hands don't hold up, like the fight could get interesting.
I love it. I love it. I love the smell of this box. Thank you very much. Big fan of that. All right. And then of course, this is a Zepeda fight setting up the big Coppinger Shakur showdown in Riyadh. Do you have any comments on that before we start the
So you're the WWE former podcaster, right? A member of Cheap Heat back in its second golden age with ESPN. And so you know the wrestling pretty well. You know the squared circle almost as well as you know the box.
Yeah.
I kind of get the vibes that these guys are working, right? This is a work to me. I think that they're
not for Shakur.
No,
I think it's a work for Turkey. I think Turkey's stirring the pot. He's making the AI like images of of Rafael and Ariel going up against Cop. It's all a game.
Here's the thing, and like maybe I don't know Shakur well. Maybe he does not have my 4D chess mind of how media works today. But to me, if you want, especially the athlete who has all the power in this situation, in that kind of dynamic, if he really dislikes Mike Coppinger, he just never talks to him. He never gives him anything. He doesn't give him interviews. He ignores him. He freezes him out, does not give him any shine. I think they actually get a kick out of each other. They're using this internet feud to raise each other's profile and give fans something to joke about, laugh about. And every time he goes on a podcast now, you ask him about it. Ariel Helwani asked him about it. It's a talking point. It's something I think they're working, man. Maybe to extend our WWE pro wrestling analogy, they work themselves into a shoot here and it starts to be real. But I don't think it's real. I don't get real animosity.
Bud wrestling Cop that time.
That seemed kind of look. If Bud Crawford actually wants to hurt Mike Coppinger, he's not it's not going to be a problem. It's not going to take long.
Yeah, I get you. Cop's going after him too on Twitter in response. It is an interesting time. Whatever, right? Whatever.
Cop, I think he reads his own headlines. He believes he's got an perhaps appropriate, perhaps inflated sense of what he means to this game, and so perhaps he's starting to, maybe he will work himself into a shoot, and then Shakur will have to get serious about it.
Well, I thought he was going to be lined up for a 1-2 from Kovalev for a while during their feud. Back when Kovalev was relevant.
I just want to punch his liver. I'll punch his liver, make him fall down. Shout out to Blake Caparello.
Yeah, the Russian was more to my favor in that one too. Also from Nocita. Well, I'm just blowing the first half hour of the show, jerking off. It's great. Nocita says the real question is, when are we going to McSorley's? Dude, he wants us to do like a full MK. This is our producer of Morning Combat, of course, the great Luke Nocita. He wants us to do a like MK pregame preview ahead of some big boxing fight from McSorley's. I'm like, those motherfuckers won't let us in there.
I love that idea. If it gets serious, let me know. All right. Have your friends call my friends. All right. We could be friends. We could do this every weekend.
Yeah, damn right. You're damn right.
No, so there is a younger generation running the bar now. So it's they're more open to these sort of ideas. I might be able to help. And I'm as an MK head, I don't need to be in it. I don't need it. Like, I'll serve you. No.
Well, actually, if you were the waiter that comes in with the drinks and a one-liner, and then I could get that cheese sandwich and the burger and the saltines with the what I'm talking.
Yeah, get that horseradish mustard in there. Put a little bit of hair on your balls.
Oh wow. Lazy Bed saying your Diddy line didn't age so well, and also
says who?
De La Cruz says Cop has the HE backing, so he's not scared. He knows people that will. Okay, that's too far. All right. By the way, do you think
are you still talking about Turkey Al-Sheikh? This guy's been talked about for years, Brian. All right, we've got Texas, we've got Amanda Serrano, we don't need to talk about this creep. That's what I want to talk to you. All right, before we open the box, Brian.
Yes, please. Yes. Nocita just wants to drink there now, apparently. So we can do that too, right? We can do that
every weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
Before we really open the box, there's one other thing that's been happening in the world this week, and as my resident conspiracy head, how were you expecting to get these Epstein files? Like, I need you to talk about the island, man.
Okay, that's wild, because I was just going to ask you whether you truly believed, and I'm not looking today for your Building 7 theories. We can do that over a couple dark ones, but unless they'll throw me out of there for that kind of talk, you never know, right? I almost got thrown out of the ESPN newsroom one time remember when Rashard Mendenhall, the running back for the Steelers, came out like aggressively against 9/11, and people were like,
relation to Chuck Mendenhall?
No, but they were like, he should be suspended. And I stood up and I'm like, finally, somebody has the guts to say the truth. And people were like, oh my God. Like they were not ready for that. It was like that scene in Back to the Future where on guitar,
these days you're getting a promotion.
Yeah. What I'm really trying to say is, is the lackluster results in both the Diddy trial and the uncovering of the Epstein files related? Are the same powers that be that are carrying out similar blackmail designs upon gaining control of the world aligned? Is that why we didn't find out the truth in either situation?
Interesting theory, Brian. It never occurred to me. To me, like, Diddy. Well, did he get? I don't know if Diddy ever got off in those freak offs because he wasn't really involved as far as I know. But he did get off the most important charges there. But that was honestly I think that's just a jury reacting to prosecutorial overreach, because this is not what RICO laws were created for. How come everybody who's not a mobster getting caught up in RICO charges is a rapper, Young Thug down in Atlanta, Diddy in New York? It's like it's a stretch, man. It's a stretch, and the problem is it's hard to charge sex crimes in our justice system because there's so much he said, she said, there's so much reasonable doubt. Shout out to Jay-Z. I just meant the album, no sex crimes. Well, I mean, he might be a part of that too. I'm just saying, that's what I'm saying. I'm only talking about the album. But anyway, there's too much reasonable doubt in those unfortunate situations and then the statute of limitations, where even though you got him on camera beating up his girlfriend, you can't charge him for that because it's already too late. So you got to come up with some bullshit BS RICO charge that honestly shouldn't stick. That's for John Gotti. That's for actually I guess it took them a long time to get him on that too, but that's for rolling up the mob.
Wait, are you talking about John Gotti again?
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
They say he murdered. All right. He was not behind the John Castellano hit. That's
Thank
what
you.
Sammy the Bull said he did. What
Thank you.
murder?
Exactly. All right. As much as I'd like to get in what was on the USB stick on Pam Bondi's desk, do not, I repeat, do not.
A message to
It's for Brian Campbell. There we go. Okay.
You
let's
gotta
do it.
talk to Mr. Klitschko. It's on his US. You gotta talk to Mr. Klitschko.
All right. Also, Lazy Bed prefers the dark ale. I'm not sure if he's still willing to risk it all with the bomber, but we are. Okay, thank you. That's enough of that ridiculous talk.
He wasn't talking about the bomber.
He may have been. You never know.
He should. We should all. I mean, again, Henry, he was right. That is a hashtag.
Thank you. Maybe I was right too on 2012 Rachel Donaire, but maybe not. Okay. All right. Hey, let's talk about chicks. It's a historic card. Friday night, New York's Madison Square Garden.
They're all willing to risk it all for the belts on this historic card, Brian.
Eddie Hearn, Jake Paul, MVP Promotions will come together for, let's be honest, the biggest fight, the most important fight in women's boxing history, which has already been the label for the first two fights in this series coming in. And to the credit of Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, they have produced 20 rounds of legit fight of the year contention, overachievement based upon like the idea that first fight in 2022 at MSG could, with all that hype, this will, save women's boxing, or this will be the biggest thing to ever happen to women's boxing. And then it overplayed its hand. Like I said, it was a legit war. The people that were inside MSG that night that maybe aren't the biggest women's boxing heads were like, I'm not sure I've ever felt anything like that in that building. And then, oh, by the way, their rematch was even wilder, more controversial, more action friendly. And it was in a dome and on Netflix and became the most watched women's sporting event in U.S. history. They've made history every step of the way. Their first fight was the first time two women main evented a pay-per-view. It was also the first time two women both made seven figures in a fight. They doubled that apparently for the second fight. Now they're up to splitting an $18 million purse for this third fight in a main event on Netflix in MSG. First and foremost, jokes aside, 5-6 years ago, would you have ever guessed women's boxing is where it is right now?
No, me? I probably would not have made that bet 5 or 6 years ago. But if there was going to be any two fighters to carry it, any rivalry to carry it to this level, to this stage, to this moment again, yeah, it's this one has lived up to it in those first two fights. It's hard not to be excited for this third one. Lampley's already in town. He doesn't need to work the whole night if he doesn't want to. Can we at least get him in there for the first round, for the opening bell of Serrano Taylor 3?
No, he ain't on that call.
I know, but can we at least get him in there for the first round of this, for just to make an appearance, do a cameo, so he can give us one of his classic lines where he's like, they've fought for 8 million championships in their illustrious careers. They've fought each other for titles 18 times, but tonight they're fighting for the championship of each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. That is eloquent right there. No, it'll be on Netflix. Sean Grandy, Chris Mannix's wife, and Layla Ali on the call. Andre Ward will be a part of it.
Where'd they get these people?
I don't know. The other super bad will be on the call. I want to ask you before we get into this historic fight, because it's somewhat related to this weekend, meaning that we thought these were two head-to-head fight cards, both in New York City, both involving two boxing powers, meaning Turki Al-Sheikh, Ring Magazine, and eventually the full boxing takeover with Zuffa, and Jake Paul and MVP and everything they're doing separately, which, look, I hated the Tyson fight, right? But that was such a monstrous event. The women saved it. The fact that these two are headlining on Netflix is Jake Paul's doing, in my opinion. Yet Jake and Turki are now freaking together too. Did you see that picture this morning?
They took a picture together, Brian. Like, also, so we were out here wish casting that Jake Paul is somehow going to save U.S. boxing from Turkey. When 6 months before Turkey ever came around, we're like, motherfucker, Jake Paul is ruining U.S. boxing.
Right, but that was under the assumption that he was going to get the 100 million of investment money he was seeking, and that did not happen.
I just mean that I am not surprised that Jake, who is clearly, look, if he has a real talent for publicity, media, and business, right? He knows he can smell money. He knows how to get it. And Turkey is throwing it around. He's been throwing it around. Why not get involved? Why not? In fact, why not? Anyway, I'm not surprised. It doesn't bother me. Neither. I'm really not rooting for either of them in life or in the ring. But if they're making good fights and the Friday card is really good, it's really there. It's not just Serrano and Taylor. And this is coming from someone who really doesn't like to see the ladies do the box.
Yeah. He doesn't care about their people, their species, their suffrage, anything. Okay.
I'm kind of into this card, and I like that it's on Netflix. And I like good thing. Like Jake Paul is for all the shit that he is doing to ruin real boxing between men.
He got Chavez deported. Oh wait, no, he didn't. But it did happen.
I got some takes on that too.
Okay, I'm gonna bring him right out of you in a second. I did want to tell you though, to wrap up that Turkey.
Are you upset? Did it hurt you to see them together?
I'm not upset. I'm just like, holy crap. There's not many people left who haven't bent the knee. And if you are of the belief that the takeover is inevitable, and the takeover meaning Turkey's money mixed with Zuffa's idealism, willingness to end the Ali Act, all that. Now the fact that we're coming together, it's like, who's left on the outside? Tank?
Who next? Yeah.
Who next? Here's the quote tweet from Jake. He says, my and MVP's goal has always been to disrupt and grow boxing, and Turkey has done that in massive ways. Collaborating only helps ensure boxing for women and men continues to grow and regain its place in the biggest sport in the world. I know my sources have told me that Turkey's has wanted to make KSI versus Jake for a long time. But when he mentions men and women, I wonder if there's a future partnership of women being allowed to fight on Riyadh Citizen cards. That would be interesting.
Being to fight versus men on cards. I hope not.
Yeah,
it would be interesting. No, it would be funny to sort of imagine Turkey in an interview just trying to explain what I presume are his fairly traditional views on women's role in society, but also being open to different cultures and how we do things over here, where we do appreciate and love a great fight between two incredible female athletes. Nobody appreciates that more than me, Brian, as you know.
Yeah, right. I mean, De La Cruz isn't lying here. BC said it best yesterday, and Rafe's top three, both women in boxing are there, just not together. Thank you. Enough of that. Hold on. Before we get into this, I do want to get your takes now that I brought up Jake and it's all related here. Dude, what the hell happened with Ice and Chavez Jr.? We knew that he had, I don't want to say married into, but his baby mama.
Well, he did. That's his wife.
Okay. So his wife.
And he does, and his baby mama.
But the reports vary. Some people are saying he married the ex of El Chapo. Some people are saying the granddaughter of El Chapo. Some people are saying the whatever. We knew he was a part, I guess, by marriage of that. I don't know. I didn't know that any of us knew that he was hitting detainees when they're hanging from the ceiling. But when the US
say he was hitting, they say he was hitting detainees, Brian.
But when the U.S. government was reportedly aware of what was going on and had him on their list before the fight, and then they let him go through with the fight before grabbing him, it felt a lot like Mayweather Cotto in 2012 and moving the goalposts on that jail sentence, you know?
Well, there's an element of that. I wonder, I mean, because it also seems that the decisions and activities of ICE and the Department of Homeland Security and immigration enforcement right now in the country is so sort of haphazard and crazy that I could also see it being a thing where like they just saw that he was on TV and be like, oh shit, don't we have some paper on that? Can we go pick him up too? And they ejected like, hey, let's do it. Let's go. Call up the boys. Woo! Throw on some masks.
Oh, so you don't think Jake called up Trump? Because remember, Jake was in the van
I hear you.
Inauguration day with McGregor and Dana White and all them folks.
I think that is also possible. However, I read a story on ESPN quoting one of the prosecutors in Mexico who said that the indictment they have on Chavez Jr. has been out since 2023, and the U.S. has known about it since then, and they just didn't. Nothing had been enforced. Also, the other thing that is pretty unclear and still hasn't really been explained about Chavez Jr.'s detention and arrest was it part? I mean, it doesn't appear to have been part of an extradition agreement that like he was scooped up because the government of Mexico requested it of the United States. The United States said, okay, we'll arrest him and bring him back to Mexico. So this seems like that detail was almost just thrown into the press release to add, because whenever there's a high profile detainee, they like the press release is full of a bunch of other details that make the guy sound really bad. And he may be really bad, but they aren't really the legal justification for why he is being arrested and detained and possibly deported. They don't even, I mean, Chavez Jr.'s U.S. attorney was in court this week for on the gun charge, and Chavez Jr. wasn't there, and he's like, I don't know where he is. Last we heard, he was in Hidalgo, Texas. We don't know if he's been at what country he's in. It's a mess, man.
I know. Plus, he was at the weigh-in, the press conference, the grand arrival, the open workout. Okay, I knew it.
The timing is suspicious, no matter what. Whether they waited until the fight was done to let the show must go on, whether they had just forgotten that this was on the agenda until they saw him on TV and were like, "Oh, that guy. Oh yeah, isn't he on our list too?" It's all pretty. It's confusing. It also, I don't know. It's. I think the thing that's more and hopefully we get satisfying answers that sound both like legally convincing and morally justifiable and all those things. And Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, said that yes, he is wanted here. So and we hope that he's returned to us so he can face justice in our legal system. So it's not. It doesn't seem like he's being caught up on a humble here. It seems like this is actually real. But I think the thing that I got interested in are the ramifications for combat sports in general, especially combat sports, because this is an international sport where people are coming to compete from all over the world, training in the United States for various lengths of time, whether or not they are full-time residents here or in the process of becoming U.S. citizens, et cetera, et cetera. And like, it's sort of scary. Like if you are a foreign athlete, especially a foreign fighter from a country that, where rule of law is not quite as, and I don't know what people want to say about rule of law here in the United States these days, but there's a lot of countries where it's a lot less reliable than it is here even today, whatever you think of it. And, what's going to happen to me if all I want to do is go, follow my career here. I'm not trying to get in any trouble, start any stuff. I don't really want to be detained and shipped to South Sudan or El Salvador or wherever, or Alcatraz, wherever they're putting detainees just because I showed up at the wrong place at the wrong time and somebody decided to scoop me up. For example, last I checked, as of 2019, the IRS claimed that Manny Pacquiao owed the U.S. tax authorities millions of dollars.
Somebody find Michael Kahns. He's sitting on all that.
Grandpa Bob said that that's not true. But I was looking for updates on that case. It at least there's no public resolution of it that I could find. The tax charges against him in the Philippines were dropped in 2022. But that's the kind of thing where what if, I mean, it's hard to imagine. And also, Manny's not trying to live here. He's not, he's come in and out of the country. Like he lives in the Philippines. He's not staying. You don't need to round him up. But what if they just think, hey, this will get some attention. Let's go scoop up a national hero. Like that's scary as hell to think about. But if they say, well, and especially funny because it's not like, our government is a big fan of the IRS in general, right? But it's still a pretense to round someone up if they say that charge is still out there. And then you've got in UFC and MMA, you all know this a lot better than me.
Sure.
Shit.
That happened, by the way. That did happen. Yes.
Knocks him out and is like, and then he's like, "Come on, boys, get on in here." And he's like, "I took your belt and I got you deported." But like in MMA, where so many of the top fighters in the sport right now are these guys from the Caucasus region, from Georgia, from Dagestan, are the Chechens still as good as they used to be?
Not so much, but don't tell Kadyrov that. Yeah, it's more.
Well,
Dagestan's dominating. Yeah.
But those are parts of Russia that, where the local authorities are, if you go read, what's that guy, Karim Zidane?
Yes, that dude does good work.
He'll tell you everything he'll tell you all kinds of crazy shit about what's going on in those regions and the ties that these guys have. And I think it's unfair to blame the athletes. Like I don't really think the athletes get into their sports and associate with the government or criminal figures who they're, allegedly associated or do whatever with, because they want to be, that it's just that's where the money comes from, where they live. And so the idea that just saying you are associated with this unsavory, this criminal enterprise that exists somewhere in the world, henceforth, we're going to round you up and send you somewhere into our scary ass detention system. That's scary for any foreign athlete.
It really is. It really is. I'm sure Canelo will be fine, but a lot of people questioning whether that will affect the ticket sales for these big fights, including the Canelo Bud fight in Vegas in September. We'll have to wait and see. I enjoyed your thoughts on there. Let's transition back into Taylor-Serrano 3, which we do this Friday night at MSG Live on Netflix, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Matt Borgerson is speaking maybe for you and a lot of people, but I want you to counter him. And I appreciate the support, Matt. He says, I like women's boxing, but I don't want to sit through 10 decisions. I'll just tune in for the main event. I mean, the main event may go the distance for the third time, but I doubt anyone would be upset. This card is filled with females we know, from Savannah Marshall, Alicia Baumgartner to many more. But there's not a ton of knockouts. I mean, that coming in, but can we speak to why this fight actually rules? I mean, did you enjoy the shit out of the first two fights, or were they pretty good for women in your eyes? Because they were instant classics in my mind.
No, I did enjoy them. All right. I tried to front a little bit on the first one, not because the fight was awesome, but all the hype over this is the greatest atmosphere that ever existed inside Madison Square Garden. That's the same motherfucking arena where Ali Frazier 1 happened.
Damn
give
right.
Give me a motherfucking break.
And WrestleMania 1, bitch. Yeah, let's go.
So let's chill. Let's like Harvey Keitel says in Pulp Fiction, this doesn't really translate great to women's boxing, but let's all stop sucking each other's dicks here for a second.
And like Harvey Weinstein said, let's start sucking this. No, just okay, keep it going.
But I think part of me resists the sort of over the top, the way that, especially in media, it's like, let me prove to you. It's like the boxing version of virtue signaling. By the way, it's boxing. You don't need to you're weakening your credentials as a boxing analyst by virtue signaling anyway. But everybody bending over backwards say this was the greatest thing that ever happened. Oh, these warriors they're as good as anyone who's ever stepped in the ring at any gender, any blah blah blah. Like, y'all need to chill. It was a great fight. Enjoy it. I'm glad we're getting a third one. We deserve to see it. I'm pumped. I'm happy it's on Netflix. I want to see boxing do well on Netflix. So
you gotta
Netflix
pump it more than
does
once.
More.
Yes,
right?
yes.
But to me, I just got I get a little. I start to be like, all right, chill. All right, like Paulie says, right? Hey, relax.
Yeah, hey, relax.
It's
but
2013. It's a great fight.
All right.
And I like all of the even though the undercard. Look, I don't think there's going to be knockouts either. It might be decision after decision, but they're all pretty for matchmaking in women's boxing, which is difficult because. Thank you. I'm still going, baby. This matchmaking in women's boxing, which is difficult. because a lot of the divisions are not that deep talent-wise. I think they've done a good job of, even on the undercard, making fights that I would want to see. It's not just, okay, I know one name here, and I'm going to see her outpoint, win a 10-0 decision against this pie who ain't bringing much to the table. Like there's some good matchmaking here.
Yeah, and some of them got nice pie. Oh no, that's just I mean, that's probably the end of our show. That
was a smile on your face 10 miles wide, right?
Yeah, that's the point where we went too far, but people do agree with you. Rafe is right, says AJ. Oh, look, I love this fight. They do need each other from the standpoint of the ability to elevate women's boxing together, to raise the purses to the level, to get it on Netflix and all of that. But we've had two very heavily disputed, if not at times controversial, when you consider the headbutts in the second fight, if not extra controversial from the idea that this should be the matchup, in my opinion, that rings in the 12 3-minute round structure for good. And instead, it's Katie Taylor's A-side leverage that continues to make this the 10-2 format, which does favor her. But Serrano signed the contract all 3 times, so here we are. When you look back at the first 2 fights, were they robberies? Were they disputed finishes? Were they matters of opinion? Is this playing out eerily similar to parts of the Marquez-Pacquiao rivalry? What do you say?
You can't call them robberies. They're too close. They're so back and forth. What they are is it's one of these evenly matched rivalries where that create great action, great competition, everything you want in a fight, except it's impossible to come up with a really convincing case for who deserves to win both of them. And I think that was true of both fights. When it happens that way and one fighter gets a decision both times, like Katie Taylor has done, it feels a little bit disappointing, because it's like, do I really think that Katie Taylor outright deserves to be 2-0 versus Amanda Serrano right now? That doesn't really sit right in my head. But I did think that she won that the rematch last year. And yeah, she was dirty as hell in it. She didn't, not as bad as what's his name, the crazy ass trainer was talking about after the fight. But
who, Jordan Maldonado?
Yeah, that guy. Get that guy out of here.
Brother-in-law, manager, and trainer.
Yeah, they gotta have like a little like cattle prod on that guy when he starts to talk too much.
But even though he's always out of control and he's got actually ejected from fights, the fight I called in Puerto Rico that Serrano made that title defense, the referee ejected him from the premises. Arturo here is saying Serrano should have won that second fight. The fact that, the referee didn't really recognize the headbutts. He's saying the judges didn't notice the body shot. They were ignored, not a robbery. But so the first fight was a split decision. Oh, by the way, Nando, thank you for your support. Speaking of that man's physique, he's got to be in his late 50s. You remember Jordan Maldonado made his debut on HBO in that series they did looking at bouncers in New York?
I think I might have to go back. Was that part of Real Sex at all?
No, but it felt eerily similar. It was early 2000s.
Taxi Cab Confessions, baby.
Do you think that man is on the peds?
Could he just be seeing? No, he's probably, peds are cheaper than Oscar surgery, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Except you got to keep taking the peds. But you can cycle on. You could probably, and plus he doesn't have to buy, like he doesn't need designer stuff. He's not being tested. He could just go get antibiotics.
No, I'm sure he's got the TRT rocking right there. And as A-Rob says, it's true. Serrano hurt Taylor in both of the fights. Legit hurt her. I wonder if those rounds are 3 minutes that she knocks her down or stops her. You got to give Taylor credit for the chin, the fact that there's so much volume. She uses that 2-minute round setting to her advantage. How did you score the first 2 fights? The first one, split decision for Taylor, but they were like 3-4 points wide. The second was a unanimous decision, but it was a 1-point fight on all 3 scorecards.
Brother, you are actually asking me how I scored these fights. You think I'm watching these fights, scoring them? You really are
you talking about these fights like you're talking about these fights, or no?
Serious? I watched them. I enjoyed them. I have an impression of who, roughly who I thought would have won, and it feels like it should be a 1-1 rivalry. It's not. They're great competitive fights, but ain't nobody paying me to score this shit.
Okay. I mean, do you think Rod Salka with the brick wall trunks was the one who phoned in? All right, enough of this.
I do think he might have. I would, if you could take the masks, all those ICE officers, Rod Salka might have been in there.
All right. I had both fights for Serrano, very close, of the 6 rounds to 4 variety. Arturo believes the unanimous decision in the rematch was a joke. It would have been much more justified as a split. So are we still doing the winner of this fight wins the rivalry like we all accepted after the fact when Juan Manuel Marquez knocked out Manny Pacquiao cold and then stripped down naked and put a sombrero over his car? Oh, wait, that was the third
No,
fight.
different.
You know, is this a scenario in your mind, even though Katie Taylor did say yesterday that if Serrano wins the trilogy, Katie's open to a 4th fight? Katie's 39 years old. Serrano's 36. If Serrano wins this 3rd fight, does she win the rivalry?
I don't. It depends how it plays out. If Amanda Serrano knocks her out, if you have like a Pacquiao Marquez 4 type finish, and also I don't think that means JMM won the rivalry. Like it's a 2-1-1 overall for Manny, and like the first 3 fights were close as hell. The 4th fight was close as hell. Marquez,
but aren't you
was
of the
juiced
belief
to the gills? Like
at the first fight, one judge did not score all 3 knockdowns in round 1, and that would have given Marquez the split decision win.
All 3. Wouldn't that have given Manny the
Oh, maybe you're right. All right, so that further plays into it. Yeah.
In any case, I like that one. Look, it has that definitive ending. And Marquez rode off into the sunset with that. As he sort of, I mean, I know he fought Mike Alvarado again and he lost to Bradley, but like that really, like that was the capstone. He didn't need that other stuff after that. It still is a rivalry that they're so evenly matched and made for each other, even with that definitive ending. If we get that kind of knockout ending for one, or if somehow one fighter outclasses the other, yeah, there will be a feeling, okay, finally we have separation here. But to me, I'd say over. Let's treat the women's game with some nuance, with some love and respect, it deserves. Like I've always said, it deserves. Brian.
I already regret that hair pie comment. Believe me. Yes. Yes.
And say that these like to quote one of this is maybe my favorite under the radar boxing quote from Uncle Roger when he's talking about they were asking him about Manny versus Marquez, I think before the 3rd fight, if it's worth having it again. Do we really need to see this? And he's like, some fighters, they just made for each other. And I think that this might be one of those rivalries. It's just beautiful. I think it will be a great fight. I hope it will be a great fight. I don't care if we get a satisfying, definitive victor of the rivalry, because they're made for each other. They're made to make a beautiful back and forth, like combat happen. We don't need, it's almost disappointing to see one of them go out, feeling like they lost the whole thing in one fight. They've given us too much already over the first 20 rounds to feel that way after this next one.
It's just incredible that Serrano, before Jake Paul, in those final years with Lou DiBella promoting her, she could barely get on TV. She was making sometimes 12 to 15,000 for title defenses.
To beat up the crappy ass Heather Hardy.
I mean, it's just wild. Then, and Katie Taylor has made good money. I believe she made $1 million for that rematch with that Belgian cop, Delphine Persoon. And remember, when this fight was first put together in 2020, in which it was canceled due to COVID, and then it got canceled 3 months later when they tried to do it again because Serrano turned down the $300,000 offer from Eddie Hearn. Fast forward, the following year, she joins with Jake Paul. He makes her a partner. He signs her to a lifetime contract. And now those two have made at least $1 million in all 3 fights. I think Serrano made more in the rematch. She made 7, where Katie made 6 because she was getting extra money technically as a promoter. Now they're going to make $9 million each. It's wild, man.
That's great.
And the fact that Serrano had already accomplished her Hall of Fame resume by winning titles in 9 divisions between 118 and 140
It's women's boxing.
pounds.
You could win 3 fights and be in the Hall of Fame the way they run that shit. Let's just, I don't even want to talk about the Hall of Fame nonsense.
All right.
But Brian, I'm curious, let's talk strategy a little bit about this. Is this one of those fights, because it's been so even over the course of the first 2, they're coming in, it's not a rubber match because it's not a tie, but still they're coming into this 3rd fight. Is this one where you say, man, Serrano has to do something different? Do you want to see her really figure out some way to get that knockout? She's hurt Katie Taylor in the past, but she hasn't been able to finish her. And in 2-minute rounds, maybe it's too hard to do that. Do you say it's been so close that no, just trust yourself, fight your fight, and if you win, the judges will reward you. You gotta trust the process. How do you think that she's borrowing some of her trainers' juice and gonna use that to try and get a knockout in this fight? Like, how do you see that?
I think there needs to be a change. But what's interesting is she was asked that same question at the press conference yesterday and said, no, she said, I thought I won the first 2 fights. I'm not going to change a damn thing. And you do wonder the combination of Katie getting older. She just turned 39 a few days ago. Look, Katie's been in some wars. Her style produces wars. She often squares up and just throws heavy combos with both hands. I mean, she got rocked against that Belgian cop a few times in that fight, which I thought should have been a draw in their first meeting at MSG. I wonder if she did come out with the exact same style, game plan, and performance, if maybe she would get the edge this time because the first 2 were so close, because she's a little bit fresher than Katie, because maybe, just maybe, the judges are thinking about the situation of the first 2 being so disputed that maybe just subliminally you're going to give some benefit of the doubt to Serrano. But in my opinion, why would you take that risk when you know you're the stronger fighter? You've proven that by, even though you're technically the smaller fighter moving up, you've proven that with your power before. I think she's a more complete skilled fighter than Katie. So you say, okay, what difference is it this time? I think she's got to go for it early. And I'm not saying gas yourself out, but I think she's got to look at it as, we're not using the judges. I will knock her out. I will have to maximize the 2 minutes. I will have to jump all over her. But am I wrong? Have we ever seen Serrano hurt by Taylor? No. Yes, the 2 headbutts in the second fight certainly played a role.
And all the times that Katie was just rubbing it in there, just get in there, get close, and
I think she took
with
Katie's best shots. I think she can take Katie's best shots. I think there's part of me that says you give yourself a 3-4 round window there in the first half of the fight to softly go for it, right? And if you're not landing big, if Taylor's not slowing down, then maybe you can make that adjustment and it's a shootout to the finish, in terms of who can land the most shots and please the judges in these 2-minute microwave rounds. But dude, I think you got to be thinking, I'm the one with the big stick in this matchup. Okay. We don't usually talk about chicks with sticks on this show. But I'm the one with that. I'm going to wield that stick around. I'm going to make sure I'm going to Marquez Pacquiao. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, dude, if I'm in that corner, that's what I'm doing. Okay. Am I wrong?
No, look, I've broken down a lot of fights with you, Brian, and I'm not surprised. Like you favor that aggressive, like, no, I'm going to take control of this. We've seen how this went the first time, or the first 2 times, or the first 3 times for Manny and Juan Manuel. So you usually are in favor of let's throw a little variance in there and go for it. Go out on the shield. Go pour out the jug. It's only 2-minute rounds. So you got to, hope that your conditioning can hold up for that, even if you are fighting balls to the wall, throwing giant shots, trying to knock out Katie Taylor. But yeah, you're right. You can walk her into stuff because she's going to come in doing like fighting like Lisa Simpson sometimes, windmilling like crazy. And there are windows there to catch her. And I hope, and also if Amanda Serrano hurts Katie Taylor, and recognize it, and there's time in the round, go for it. Don't put your foot on the gas right there.
But I don't mean go for it like stand close to her and flurry as fast as she is. I mean, you got to set up. There's got to be a little more setup on that.
Would you like to see, Brian, an all-star panel of woman judges to decide this fight?
That woman judge,
Julie Letterman, Adolescent Bird, and CJ Ross. Bring her back.
No, CJ Ross hasn't seen the light of day. Says that she's still in her cage right now.
She's in exile, yeah.
Who else we got? Is Rodesco Waldan a girl or a boy? I don't even
Yeah, I don't know. That's why
All
I named. I came up with 3 names of women.
I want
judges.
Sparkle as the referee. You know Sparkle?
I was thinking of like Diamond and Silk from
No, Sparkle
right?
Lee. Isn't that her name, or was that a
you're
dancer?
Right.
I don't know. Yeah,
she refs in New York. You could put her in there. Look, I know who's not getting the call. It's our boy, the one and only great Steve Willis. He's probably on ice for a little while. Lisa Jumpa, good one. Yes, take us inside the box of a boxing.
Okay, a lot of misogyny coming out of here. Yeah, that's where they draw the line. You know who won't be there is a guy who lives in my town, my good friend Glenn Feldman, who just settled his lawsuit for defamation with Jake Paul. He was a filer with Eddie Hearn in that lawsuit. And did I ever show you that T-shirt he gave me?
Oh, what was Jake Paul suing him about?
It's all based on the first. Glenn Feldman judged both the first Taylor-Serrano fight, scoring it for Serrano, and I believe the Usyk Joshua fight. No, that doesn't make sense. What was it? Anyway, I think it was anyway. Jake came out and said that he was paid. He's on Eddie Hearn's payroll. That's why he scored it for Serrano. I feel like there was another way that Glenn was tied up in a Jake-related thing. Anyway, there was defamation. They settled it. And then we go out to breakfast once a month. So he gave me a T-shirt he had made that says "The Problem Judge."
Good for Glenn Feldman. Also, Jake Paul suing. Who's he suing for saying that his fights are fake? Like his fights look fake. He needs to stop. Make some fights that don't look fake, and then we'll stop calling them fake.
Okay. Well, he's a really good promoter. He's putting this card together. Do you think, and I don't guess that either of us are like I'd call Corey Erdman for his opinion before I try to give my opinion on women's boxing history, but I'd also give my opinion on women's boxing history. Are the two of these, what I already believe, Serrano and Taylor, already on the Mount Rushmore of women's boxing? And maybe, part of that is how they helped elevate the sport, their greatness. I mean, I said it before, if Katie Taylor wins on Saturday, she'll have beaten everyone she's faced, and she will have 3 wins over Serrano with just 1 career defeat that she avenged. And already Serrano's got that 9-division champion thing going. But if you add a victory over Katie Taylor, holy crap, I think those two join Clarissa on that mount, on that thing. Do you care? You don't care, right?
I don't really care. I look, to me, yeah, I agree with you. These are, I think, in terms of skill, ability, the way they've like that trio of fighters, and I think Clarissa deserves to be included in there, have elevated the quality and the status of women's boxing. All that puts them there, even if that means we have to overlook some of those earlier pioneers, like Chrissy Martin and Layla Ali and whoever,
And
who was that girl on Playboy back in the day? St. John?
Oh yeah, Mia St. John.
Yeah, I think I saw that issue, but I never saw her fight. Yeah, I mean, I don't care about them. So I care more about these ladies now. Who?
Sandy Ryan's push-ups on IG. You care about that or not really?
What about Cecilia Breakass?
Yeah, no, she was pretty good. The former undisputed welterweight queen, who I think is still fighting. I mean, maybe Jim Lampley should be calling this fight Friday night, because don't forget when HBO had that slow, long, dark death. They went out with chicks. They said goodbye with some chicks. All right, a lot of them actually. Wow, that was something. All right, who wins? What happens here? The people are in the chat and they're like, I want to talk about Saturday. So let's talk about Saturday. But first, who wins this trilogy? And look, the ratings aren't going to be what they were for the second fight because of the Mike Tyson part of it. But I want to know from you who wins and why, and will this fight be enough of a rating success to justify the huge spotlight they're getting? Because every time I turn on Netflix, it's the first thing I see now.
I think Serrano gets it. I don't think she gets it by knockout, but I think because Taylor's a bit older, and just the way that Serrano was able to hurt Taylor in that fight last year makes me think that just a little bit more, and especially if she can keep Katie's head out of her face, and there aren't any cuts that change the sort of direction of the fight. she can do enough to convince the judges, and they might already be looking for a reason to sort of help her out, or at least shade close rounds in her direction, because she hasn't gotten that benefit of the doubt in the first 2 fights, and she probably deserved it in a few of those rounds that might have swung one of those fights. And also, it's Jake Paul's card, and he didn't protect her very well on that last one, so I think he needs to help her out on this one.
Oh, wow. You're really going
promoters don't ever have any, the house fighter doesn't ever get the benefit of the doubt in boxing? What are we
All right,
talking about?
I'm going Serrano by decision, but I think she gets a knockdown in this one, so I think it'll be the clearest, where it's still a close fight. You know Katie's going to empty what she has left, but I think we're going to see finally a little breakdown on Katie. Like, she's going to get broken down here. That's what I'm saying, ultimately. What about the impact of this fight? What about the ratings? Is this one and done? What?
Who swallows in this matchup?
I mean, once a man does swallow, according to Tyson Fury,
can't come back.
It can't finish. It can't come back. Like, does this thing like get great reviews and be a ratings success?
I don't know about the reviews. Will depend on how bad the production is, whether or not there are giant lags and people can't watch the fight. Things that troubled the first Netflix foray into boxing with Paul Tyson last year.
Yeah, we saw a bare ass. We saw Rosie Perez.
I gave great reviews to that ass, though. That was the best moment of the night. But I guess Taylor-Serrano too was probably the best moment of the night. But I mean, Mike's ass probably did appear on screen in between rounds of that fight. So I think we can say it was all part of one great ass of a night. So I think that's where the reviews will come down. I think it's going to be a big success because it's Netflix, because putting something on Netflix with their worldwide reach, it's like having, the only thing that would be bigger would be a free fight on YouTube. And I just think they're going to get huge numbers simply by nature of putting it there and promoting it like they can through their channels. And I think that we're going to see that only magnified, multiplied when Canelo and Bud Crawford fight later this year on Netflix. Yeah. Because they're good fights. So, and if they play out 80% as good as the ideal version of these fights should, then I think people are going to like it, and it will be good for the sport. I think it will be a success in that regard.
Interesting. We got there's it's weird without a Mike Tyson or Jake Paul at the top of the card. It can't do anything close to what it did, but I am wondering what viewership total they view as a success, because I mean, straight up, they're preying on the idea that all those casuals that came from Mike Tyson, but were like, holy shit, that women's fight was fun, are now hopefully educated enough to not only realize that these two are all-time great legends and they had, bursts of Hagler Hearns type activity in there, but this is a trilogy with so much at stake. Will they tune in? I hope. I do, for everyone involved. I do. The DraftKings odds at the moment are minus 175 for Serrano, plus 140 for Katie Taylor. Very interesting stuff. And as De La Cruz says, yes, Netflix pushing it hard on the home screen. Weigh-ins are on Netflix, not even on YouTube. So interesting stuff. I want to ask whether you care about this undercard. Here we go. The co-main, Alicia Baumgartner's first fight under the MVP banner. She'll defend her undisputed junior lightweight title against Jennifer Miranda. 10 rounds. Do you care?
No.
I care to see the Baum back at it.
I like Baumgartner, but no, I don't care.
Do you care that they signed Kell Brook's baby mama, Ebony Bridges?
God, Kell, Jesus. God.
I mean, what about that stabbing back in the day on that island?
Yeah, wow. I guess I think they might be overdoing it a little bit as far as like, I need a beard. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I care about this fight. Savannah Marshall and Shadeja
Ebony
Green.
Bridges sucks. She doesn't like. I don't really need to see her fight ever. Didn't she lose to Shannon Courtenay?
Probably.
Come on now.
Dude, Savannah Marshall, Shadeja Green to unify super middleweight titles. It's a good ass fight. I'm very much into that one.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to see Clarissa and Savannah rematch one day. You?
Yeah. Well, I don't. It's hard to see what's going on with Clarissa, but I hope somehow this trickles up to her, that she's able to get big fights out of it, and it's so hard because there aren't like the talent pool is even thinner at the in the weight classes that she's operating in. But man, yeah, she's like, I want to see more good fights with her in it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Also on this card, Ellie Scottney against Yamaleth Mercado for the WBC Women's Junior Featherweight Unification. Wow, these are actually like really good fights. You got to give them an up for them.
It's well matched for I mean, because it's hard to find credible women's boxers in all these divisions, and they've gotten a lot of them
here
in one place.
Trineka Johnson, who recently signed by MVP, a lot of people follow her for her beauty. She'll be taking on Sharetta Metcalf to unify the undisputed women's bantamweight title. Holy crap. Then Chantel Cameron, who had the 2 fights with Katie Taylor, splitting them, giving Katie her only pro loss. She will defend her WBC women's interim junior welterweight title against Jessica Kamara. Ramla Ali is on here. What was she on, like the cover of Time magazine or something?
Yeah, I think so, man. But
all right.
Look, so they got too many fights. This is the problem with this card now that we're talking about it. They need like 2 or 3 on the real broadcast at most. Like, put those other shits on YouTube so people don't get confused, tune in too early, get bored, and be like, man, I'm out. I'm done. It's a little bit too much. Or they need to be very good about messaging when, okay, main event starting now, now. So people know when to watch.
I agree. If it's going to be on, if any combat sports event is on Netflix, I don't think you should do a 4-hour broadcast with 6 fights or something. I really feel like it should be banger to grab people's attention. I mean, consensually bang her. And also, give me some biggest prospect in boxing and a cleanup squash match, and then give me the main event. Is that right? I mean, let's get right into it.
That would work. Or just, banger and main event,
There it is. Quick question from Oklahoma's own poolside bloke. Rafe, did your neighborhood throw a Detroit block party to watch the Clarissa Shields movie Into the Fire?
No, but it was, look, I saw it in the theaters here, and it was in the theaters for a long time. It was,
dude, I really liked it. I expected it to be really like corny and cliche. And my son Isaac and I, who if you recall, we got our own movie theater to screen it. They set us up with that during the day, and dude, it was great. I really enjoyed it. He was inspired by it. So there you go. That's it. Fish Scales, follow me on the down low.
Hit me up.
Let's go to Saturday. It's at the tennis stadium. Early start time, by the way. Main card 6 p.m. Eastern time. I found out they had a legit 10 p.m. hard out on that Times Square card, and they just barely made it. So this is going to be interesting, dude. The 4 fights on this Ring 3 card, they're very good. They're very good. I'm fired up for this. Do you think, though, real quickly, that the main event should have been Shakur Stevenson defending his title against unbeaten William Zepeda in a long-awaited mandatory situation? Or do you think the trash-talking star power of New York's Edgar Berlanga and the fact that Turkey wants to send Sheeraz through Canelo into the moon, that Turkey made the right call here?
I don't have strong feelings about this, Brian. But I kind of like the way it goes. It kind of depends on where do you want your Shakur Stevenson shit sandwich in your overall meal. If it comes at the end, okay, you can just walk out. You can turn it off. If it comes before the main event, then you gotta tough it out and wait for the last fight, because you probably want to see that too. But look, Berlanga is I think he's a bigger draw in New York than, even though, Stevenson's from Newark. That's not far. It's not like it's hard to get. Although, man, you got to go Hudson River, then East River. That sucks. Getting all the way. Yeah. But I think Berlanga's a bigger draw in New York. Obviously, Turkey is very invested in his boy Hamza Sheeraz, and I think it's going to be a more fun fight. It feels more exciting. So even though, Shakur is clearly by miles the best fighter on the card, the most important fighter for the sport in general, because of all he's accomplished, because of all we hope that he still goes on to do. But give me the more fun fight at the end of the night.
I'm with you. I want to ask you this question to kick off this card. David Morrell Jr., coming off of that loss to David Benavidez earlier this year, is going to make his second appearance on a Turkey card when he's going to take on 10-0 Imam Katayev, the Russian-born muscular slugger who fights out of Australia. But then we find out this week that Katiev is in the midst of a 2-year PED ban, and the ban came after a 2024 positive test in which his team claims there was possible food contamination post-Ramadan. From what I'm seeing right now, this fight is not canceled, and I did see an interview with Morrell in which he was just sort of like, it is what it is, we move forward. Should it be canceled, or is this another situation with like Fury and that ostrich meat he took, and then they let him fight anyway?
When he was eating the wild boar testicles?
Yeah, or when, Morales tested positive on his A and B sample, and DSG was still like, yeah, we'll fight him anyway. It's cool. I mean, what are we doing here?
I mean, Danny sent him to hell that night, so I don't know if that was really a big issue for him. Look, for whatever reason, I don't know that this is actually true. Like, I don't know that I actually think this makes sense. In fact, I don't think it makes sense. But for whatever reason, the world of boxing has accepted VADA as its gold standard in doping enforcement. So this new, what is the International Testing Agency? This is some shit that I've never heard of. And and Katayev is banned only by the IBA, IBO, one of these second rate. They give a belt out. It's where like you find a contender to lose to your actual champion belts. I don't care enough. I think it's fine. Like if catch him, like I hope. Look, this is the thing. If he had this positive test, or at least according to the testing agency that we don't even know about, had a positive test, then I hope that Morrell's people were aware of it and that they forced them into good VADA testing this time, so at least they can be fairly sure, or as sure as you can be, that he's clean coming into this fight. And also maybe they're making a Danny Garcia decision and they've watched this dude on tape and be like, I don't really care what he's on. I'm gonna beat his ass.
Yeah, I mean, the dude looks like, he's got a glossy record, but this is a major step up for him. He lives in Australia, as I mentioned, but
Jim, I gotta tell you something. Are these guys Russian, or are they just in a hurry?
You expecting Morrell to walk right through him in a hurry here?
It'll be interesting, right? I mean, Morrell is coming off that loss to Benavidez. See how he bounces back from losing his from quite and clearly losing it and fighting well, but still he lost. He got beat up towards the end of that fight. So I want to see how he bounces back, and maybe this guy is good. I don't know. I have not watched a lot of Katayev fights.
No, he's fought mostly in Canada and Australia. He did have a fight in Russia as well. He's 10-0 with 9 KOs. In March of this year, he went the distance for the first time against 14-3 Derval Palacio in Sydney. He did get deducted a point for a low blow. It wasn't a blow though. That's going to be interesting. Let's get into the fight I really care about that's disgustingly falling under the radar. And that's Alberto Puello of PBC fame, the Dominican southpaw with that long arms, high pressure style. I actually thought he lost in that 140 fight against Sandor Martin that I called earlier this year, but he did fight pretty damn well in that one. Dude, he'll be taking on former title holder Subriel Matias, who at one point looked like the boogeyman at 140 until Liam Paro went to Puerto Rico and ran circles around him. Dude, this is a real ass fight. What are your expectations here?
It's a banger, man. I mean, both like it's like you said. I mean, the Puello's pressure, just the way. I mean, Matias it's hard to have him in a bad fight, and the way these styles appear to match up. Like there's a good chance that this steals the show, right?
Yes, definitely a good chance, a very good chance. I mean, don't forget 2 fights ago, Puello won that split decision over Gary Antoine Russell, and that was such a breakthrough win considering the PED stuff he had going on in the past. And obviously, Gary Antoine Russell bounced back in such a massive way to take that title from El Rayo. So a rematch could be in store down the road. But dude, I have a lot of respect for Puello, and the thing about Matias is like, like he'll take big punishment and just hang in there and kind of wait for you to slow down or give him a backward step or something. And then he comes on like a monster. Do you think Puello is going to be willing to meet him in the middle, or really look to try to dart in and out and win this fight from distance?
I mean, do you think that Puello can pull off? Can outbox him over 12 rounds? Can
without
stay
getting
out? Right.
not without getting wet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he doesn't seem like that kind of fighter to me. I mean, I don't know, man. I like Matias. I don't know. Boogeyman that stuff was clearly a little bit overstated.
Against two.
I would love to say, well, I mean, R.I.P. Maxim, but yeah, and Guy Ritchie also, to all the guys who we've lost over the years. But I kind of want to see Matias get back on track. I mean, he's been back on track, but this really this gives him a belt, puts him right back at where he was supposed to be. And I think this style matchup, he could do it.
Yeah, I love that fight. All right, let's talk Shakur. We'll hold the main event for last here. Shakur, a minus 1,200 betting favorite against the plus 600 something. William Zepeda, excuse me. Zepeda, though, obviously pretty damn legit, undefeated, 33-0 with 27 KOs. The Southpaw is fresh off of back-to-back close decision wins over Tevin Farmer, a 10-round split decision in November of last year, and then a 12-round majority decision in March of this year. We don't really do boxing math, but Tevin Farmer just got sent to hell and possibly retirement in a round by the same fighter, Floyd Schofield, who Shakur is still saying faked the poisoning to get out of a fight with him.
Yeah, but did he fake the swatting? Did he fake the people planting drugs in his dad's car? Did he fake all of the crazy allegations they're coming up with?
It's wild. It is pretty damn wild. Look, here's the deal. Mandatory fight. We've needed it for a while. Zepeda's all volume. In fact, I believe he leads all of every boxer on CompuBox of most attempted punches per round. He's up at like 91.3. Conversely, Shakur is the CompuBox leader in plus minus, which shows his efficiency. Has Shakur had a bad 2 years of PR? Without a doubt, from the De Los Santos fight, which was the Heisman weekend where he was getting that big push and he got booed out of the arena and did CompuBox low numbers. Then the fight against that guy, what was that guy's name? I can look it up here.
Some guy, who are talking about the one in Riyadh recently?
No, I'm talking about Artem Haratunian, his final fight under the Top Rank banner, where Shakur was actually booed in his home arena in Brick City and people were walking out before the fight ended. Then he was supposed to have this fight against Kid Austin, gets a plasterer for the local council last minute, stops the guy. Nobody gives him credit. So because of that, because of the boring labels, because of Shakur being tied
labels,
to
come on, man.
Because of the Shakur being tied to the Tom and Jerry stuff of Turkey, because Turkey's clowning the shit out of Shakur this week with all these memes. I feel like people must have forgot how good this guy is. Yes, some of this is self-inflicted. Some of it really is. He also stands in the pocket and throws much more than people give him credit for. Dude, I feel like this is going to be a statement whitewash performance from him. And people out of hatred are really like, nah, man, Zepeda, if he cuts the ring off and goes to the body, Shakur's going to be in trouble here. But I've been ride or die on Shakur from a long time, thinking that this guy's still the future pound for pound king. Am I crazy? Am I drinking the Shakur juice too much? What are your expectations in this fight?
Look, the only thing you're crazy that where you sound crazy, Brian, is when you start trying to make too many excuses for this man. The boring labels. How many boring fights? He's been like 90% of this man's fights are boring as hell. Yes, it's a label. He has earned it quite well. However, and there is a part of me. I love upsets. I've never really been completely sold on Shakur Stevenson. I love to just hate on things. All right.
Did you watch the Oscar Valdez fight?
I'm getting there. However, Brian, part of me, I also think that whether it was Top Rank's fault, whether it's because Stevenson is such a daunting opponent for many fighters that people just wouldn't agree to fight. It may not be, soft matchmaking. It may be that nobody wants to fight him. He might just be avoided. It might, for whatever reason, he has not gotten than many of the names that you would want to see, or, like the fighters he's had to beat have just so often been overmatched. He's been able to cruise against them. Doesn't really seem like he's challenged, and has been in these boring fights that it's tempting to say, wow, William Zepeda, pressure fighter, he could win rounds just through activity. Maybe he could, maybe Shakur will get hurt because he's been breaking his hands a lot recently. All this, you can start talking yourself into it. But then you said it, Oscar Valdez, man, he beat the brakes off that guy, and he was dirty as hell in it. I think that was like the amount of like measuring and holding and hitting that Shakur, but he got away with it. Sure. Valdez couldn't stop him from doing anything he wanted in that ring. And Valdez was at the highest moment in his career. And I think that against the best, against elite competition, Stevenson is able to, to fight, find another gear. Not even that hard for him to locate that gear. He's got it. He just usually doesn't need to use it. But it's there for him when he wants it. And I think that if Zepeda is good enough to bring it out of him, we'll see it. And yes, statement win. I as much as I want to see the other narrative happen, I feel like I'm not quite stupid enough yet to talk myself into it. I've talked myself into dumb shit. Jojo Dan beating Kell Brooks. Yes. Kermit Cintron was going to upset Canelo back in the day. Alfredo Angulo then was going to upset Canelo back in the day. Everybody was supposed to, I've talked myself into dumb shit, but I just don't see it in this case.
But I mean, to support you on that dumb shit on Canelo, don't forget that I did score Canelo fights for Trout, Lara, Triple G1, Triple G2, a draw against Danny Jacobs. Okay, I did do that shit. I got to ask you whether you support this from Brody Moret. Shakur needs to start dating people's sisters again, because that version of him who beat Joette and took his girl, that guy was a beast, right? Maybe you could say the same thing about the version that mopped up on Robson Conceição, or like there was a stretch there for this 3-division champion where he was showing it to us. But at the same time, Rafa, Zepeda is the worst style if you want to bring out that side of Shakur, the killer side, because he's going to come in a straight line repeatedly, and Shakur's ability with that plus minus and the speed, the reactions, the angles, dude, he may be able to stand there and have a counter punching fest against him.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it all lines up for Shakur to look great and win and be sort of back on. Everyone agree, wait a minute, we were not giving him enough credit for the talent he clearly has had all this time. You don't necessarily need to forgive him for a million boring fights along the way, but you will have to give him, put the respect on his, what's the line? Put some respect on his name. I'm thinking of our song right now. But anyway, it lines up. I guess the only X factor. What about the hand?
The Birdman on the Breakfast Club? Is that what you're thinking of?
No. Give me the respect I deserve, or I'm gonna take it by force. From that LL Cool J song. I think that's the Cannabis verse. Anyway, I think that Shakur is gonna. I guess the hand injuries. If he suffers hand injuries early in the fight, I mean, and then toughs through it, then that's great for his narrative. But if he suffers hand injuries early in the fight and is running, doesn't look good, gets a gift decision type thing, then it's another problem for him. What if that happens? How real is that concern for you, Brian?
I think, okay, if he hurts his hands, I think he'll have to box boringly, and then it will continue that he's never going to be marketable, blah, blah, blah. That'll be bad. That'll be really bad, dude. That will be really bad. I hope that doesn't happen for him, to be honest.
All right. Good. Me too.
All right. I have to ask you this. He says it's his final fight on the Eddie Hearn Matchroom deal. He also said he signed a multi-fight deal with Turki Al-Sheikh, which is that an advisor? Is that a promoter? I don't know. How do we get to the fight we all want to see, which is him against Tank? Does that have to happen in your eyes on Riyadh season? Or is there any scenario in which Shakur could go to PBC for a fight and take that fight? Obviously, Tank's got to handle his business with Roach first, and it's supposed to be 6 weeks away, and the fight hasn't even been announced. So I don't know. And Eddie Hearn yesterday was like, isn't he fighting Jake Paul first? And it's like, oh God, I hope not. Do you see Shakur versus Tank in our next 12 months of life?
If Tank stays in the sport, if he's not retiring, if he's not going on like a walkabout or something, yeah, I do see it happening because there's enough money out there from somebody, right? I mean, that's a fight that if they decide to make it on, if they can make it through PBC can put that, like, that's a pay-per-view that'll sell because Tank is in it. And it's a great matchup. I mean, it's like it probably will be the most important fight of Tank's career. The way things are going, it just seems like he's might be looking towards moving out of the sport. So yeah, that like I think it could happen there. I think it could easily happen with Turkey's money because Turkey has unlimited money, at least for now. He's happy to spend it if you know, Tank is willing to fight on the card, if Al is willing to let him. And I think that there's enough Turkey money out there to convince PBC to let them do it. If there's no other way that it's ever going to happen. Yeah, I think that it makes so much sense. There is so much money behind it. It's not like a better Bivol fight where if it wasn't for, you know, Turkey spending money that he doesn't want to recoup, it would never happen.
Sure.
I call me crazy, but I think it can happen.
All right. De La Cruz saying that Ariel had mentioned that after interviewing Shakur in person, they shook hands when they met, and he's got brittle hands. I mean, we kind of already knew that. Shakur said that in the interview.
Want to shake his hand.
Shakur, yeah, that's also part of it. Shakur said in the interview that he couldn't make a turnaround for the Canelo Bud undercard because of the hands. I think it's just where we're at with that.
Did they do a face-off? Did they do a Kate-to-Kate for this? Was there a moment where, if you were Zepeda, would you have grabbed that hand, George Groves style, and pull him, going in for a little bit?
Yeah. A little push and pull, yeah. A tug of war of kindness. Is that what Keith Thurman said that time? I don't know.
Tug and war.
A tug and war. Let's go to the main event. I really like this fight a lot. Super middleweights for Hamza Sheeraz. It's his debut in the division. New trainer Andy Lee. The giant pressure and stress from Turki Al-Sheikh. Not only did Al-Sheikh call a shot and say Sheeraz could be Canelo's opponent in May with a victory here, but he even put out that tweet saying, I really hope Berlanga doesn't knock him out because I've got big plans for him. Berlanga, on the flip side, has just as much to prove, considering the victory tour he took after Canelo when he lost all 12 rounds and got dropped. And I don't know if you saw that face-to-face they did there on DAZN, but he's like, I went toe-to-toe with Canelo. It was a war. Ask anybody in New York. And Sheeraz is like, bro, did we watch the same fight? I think this fight, which really is a basic, let me get the updated odds on this. If you'll let me just hit this button here. Berlanga is minus 135 on DraftKings. Sheeraz plus 105. It has been a pick 'em for most of the week. Does this fight come down to the fact that Berlanga's not nearly as good as he thinks he is, but he's not nearly as bad or sucky as all of boxing tries to frame him? Like, there is something there, whether it's confidence, punch resistance, punching power. I've been arguing with fans lately saying, like, this guy don't suck. He's kind of the favorite for a reason right now.
Berlanga is easy to laugh at, right? I saw on Twitter today or yesterday someone being like, man, Berlanga better win this, along with like one of the many shadow boxing videos that have come out in the last couple of months of Berlanga just looking like a fool, like doing weird stuff,
Alvarado
making weird
style
noises. I mean, see, Alvarado seemed like he was trying to be serious. At least I can for now give Berlanga the benefit of the doubt that he's just joking around. Like he was doing like these silly, like looping shots that don't look like any real punch and going, ha! The whole thing was just bizarre. And he has this wildly inflated sense of self and his own ability, which I think athletes are, should have, especially fighters. But he expresses it in a way that you're just like, man, you are out of your damn, like, I can't believe the shit that's coming out of your mouth. However, yeah, I think you're right, Brian, that he showed something in that Canelo fight. That it's not just that he made it 12 rounds, but he tried to compete, even though he was pretty much outclassed completely. Mm-hmm. And part of that is the story of old Canelo, which is like, all right, he saw that this wasn't going to challenge him and was able to cruise and just go the 12 rounds. I think even a couple of years before then, Canelo gets that third round. Was it the third round or the first? Yeah. He gets that early knockdown off the hook. And then after that is like in Berlanga's ass until Berlanga is done. Like that fight maybe has 2 more rounds in it a couple of years before. But still, Berlanga, he brings that same overconfidence into the ring. He believes in himself as a fight. It's not just an act. He is that kind of foolish about and that kind of overconfidence is useful in fights. And
especially
he
when
keep coming.
Punch. The dude can punch. I mean, the 16 first-round knockout streak stunted his growth. It overhyped him. It got him convertible rides with Fat Joe. It did a lot. But also, while I'm certainly not going to overrate that knockout over that dude with the lip tattoo on his neck who came out of jail after 10 years.
I would hope not.
You have been in our DM group with the Candy Lickers, a lot of the people that populate this here podcast. And you've been talking more about the other guy maybe being a fraud. And it's part of what I love about this matchup. The fact that there's so much pressure on both to not fall into the trap of what their worst critics already believe they are. Overhyped, not as skilled. But if we're going to be honest here, the Sheeraz who fought Carlos Adames for that title and was lucky to walk away with a draw that was further complicated by Turkey giving him the scores between rounds. The ring IQ,
Lawrence Cole.
Yeah, the poise, the ring IQ, it just wasn't there against a very good boxer in Adames. Maybe the odds makers are right. We really don't know what to expect here. Plus, the dude's moving up in weight. Do you have more questions about Sheeraz being great than you actually do about Berlanga? Because I think that's the key question here.
Sheeraz looks like the more skilled, talented. He's the fighter you would bet on. But there's also some side of him where you wonder if it's fool's gold. He sort of is like he looks like that 5-tool player that you're expecting to be, make 10 all-star teams, Golden Gloves, the best, blah, 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 blah. It looks, you mint him for the Hall of Fame from day one. But then he doesn't seem to put it together in the ring, and it was especially looked borderline exposed against Adames. And maybe he is super tall. It might be just he might just not have belonged at 160 pounds trying to be a middleweight weight bully. Maybe going up to 168. Brings out more power, and he still has speed and his length and all that. It comes together in a way, and we finally do see the full package. But I think that is what makes this matchup really exciting, is that it's sort of like somebody gets exposed, and we don't really. It's very hard to predict who it's going to be because, like you said, Berlanga also was I think done a disservice by the way. I know that everyone, because he gives a lot of news to podcasters and newsbreakers, super manager, Kevin Connolly or Ian, whatever Connolly from Entourage. Keith Connolly it gets praised a lot. And I guess if you look at it just in terms of business sense, Berlanga did not have to risk a single thing in the ring until he got to a Canelo fight and lost, which is fine. Great in that way, great managing. But it also kept him from learning how good of a fighter he is, kept everyone in the sport from learning if he's actually a good fighter. And now he's fighting at this level where he's in main events fighting against, should be taking, Sheeraz, it's kind of hard to say, is he world-class yet? But whatever, he fought a middleweight titleist, so he's closer to world-class. And you still don't know if Berlanga is that good at this point in time. So while I guess you praise that management style for getting him all that money without taking on any risk, it also, in terms of in terms of if boxing actually were a competitive sport all the time instead of a weird sort of lovable circus thing that it is, this amoeba that blob that sucks us in and makes us want more. If boxing made sense, we would know if he was good by now, but we don't. It's exciting.
Dude, if I watched, the Jason Quigley decision win, he didn't look that good in there. Berlanga. You know what I'm saying? And like they both got serious questions here. I love they're coming together. Now, look, if Sheeraz wins and does so impressively, yeah, I could see him fighting Canelo, dependent upon what happens in that Crawford
Look,
fight.
if they do that, that's bullshit. Okay, I don't care if he, I don't care how, I don't care if he knocks, I don't care if it comes out like Jason Voorhees in that movie where he knocks the boxing guy's head off in one shot. He is in no position to fight Canelo. Canelo got 3 or 4 fights left in his career. He wasting it on Hamza Sheeraz coming off of a win over Edgar Berlanga is a fucking travesty if it happens. That doesn't mean it probably won't happen. It probably will, but it's bullshit.
Well, I do wonder with David Benavidez now headlining a Riyadh season card this November against Anthony Yard. Morel will have his second fight here. I don't think Berlanga, even with his ability to talk, can get a Canelo rematch anytime soon based upon what happened in that first fight. Obviously, if he knocks Sheeraz out, it would be a statement. But if Berlanga wins, do you think he'd be in either the Benavidez or Morel sweepstakes?
Yes, I do think he would be in, and it would make sense from in terms of the hype and the ability to sell a big event. I think he would lose to either of them, but
I mean, both are at 175. He's at 68, but still,
he's big. He could make that weight pretty easy, I think. But I think it makes, that fight makes sense for them if he wins.
All right, Signature Sounds believes that Chris Eubank would probably end up being next for Canelo. Especially if he beats Ben in the rematch. Yeah, but we'll see what happens.
He can't lose that rematch and then fight Canelo. Please,
I know.
Please
I
don't.
know.
Also, he should look. What are the chances? Like, what's the what percentage chances do you give right now of Eubank coming up with an injury between now and whenever he's supposed to fight Ben again? Because that rematch can wait. Like they can do that at the end of their careers.
Yeah,
and he's got this Canelo, like making that weight is hard for him.
And I kind of want Ben to, cut back down to 47 and see what we have here, or 54 and take on some big names. I just hope that Turkey's long play to get Benavidez Canelo can happen. Does Canelo need to win commandingly against Crawford? Does that help the Benavidez fight? I mean, if Canelo makes $250 million on Netflix, which is what we've heard, would that make him more interested at the chance of making $300 million on Netflix, if that's even possible against Benavidez? I don't know. I don't really know, but I do really, really, really want to see that fight.
Yeah,
so
I don't know what makes that happen at this point in time, because he's not waiting out Benavidez to get old. It's not because Canelo is already old. He's not, it's not that's not going to come out in his favor. The whole thing just it looks worse and worse over time. And he's so stubborn. He's so stubborn, man.
All right, let's close it out with some questions I've been saving here from our viewers here. A couple people are loving your stash. First of all, here's Mr. C, the informal spectator. Tune in next week as Sturgis Rally Rafe dons a leather vest and sunglasses.
You seem like a Sturgis guy, Brian. Have you been to that?
Well, my dad goes annually, so
really?
It's not that far.
Can we go with our daddies?
Oh, that'd be awesome, right? Be good friends.
If you think my stash is good, you should see my father.
Oh, your father's got a hell of a stash. Also from Trevin Giles, not the former UFC fighter. Ray, if I would cast you in a spaghetti western with that mustache, I feel like you could be a big-time actor. He was an actor on Filipino telly.
That might explain why my career never went past that moment.
Nando, thank you for the support here of this pod, Nando 510. Does Allegiant Stadium suck for boxing? No overhead scoreboard like the Cowboys or the Rams Stadium. TKO Dana better not overprice those tickets. So first of all, there's no question in my mind that TKO and Dana are going to aggressively overprice those tickets, because that's what TKO does. And there will be monster demand for this. But number two, I've been to a lot of UFC events at random different arenas, and the UFC does an incredible job putting in temporary big screens on the arenas that don't have that modern thing. The Forum in LA would be a great example of that. I think they're going to be smart enough to do this.
Do you think? I mean, so this is a matter of scale, right? Because I've been to the Forum. It's a big arena, but it's not a stadium. It's not a football. It's not a 100,000 person football stadium where look, I've never been to Jerry World. I've never seen one of these giant modern jumbotrons in person. but they look fucking huge. They look gigantic. So
I think they'll figure it out. It's not going to be like, that's the whole point about stadium fights. It's more about the experience, but you do need to make sure everybody in there can see a giant screen somewhere to follow the action. Cause you can't watch that from the nosebleeds and try to understand. I think they'll figure it out. In fact, I've said it many times. I hope this creates a renaissance period where Dana White and the UFC, and Dana's been against stadium fights for the UFC, that they flip that, they turn that around and they start doing like, Conor McGregor in Ireland. Probably will never happen, but like Tom Aspinall for the heavyweight title
80K
at Wembley.
in Wembley. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
So Allegiant, I'm sorry, this is not that important, but Allegiant is a new stadium, right? How did they put a new NFL stadium in a new NFL city?
Good point.
And not give it one of these screens?
Maybe because it doesn't have a Jerry World size one, which is the biggest in the world, but I can't see them not coming through to make sure that the experience is adequate for everyone in there. I don't know.
They better effing get inside on that.
All right, 2 more questions from the folks here. Sydney Frankenstein, thank you for your support here. What is the ceiling for Richard Torres Jr.? I feel like he should be more pushed as a U.S. heavyweight star. I do not believe the ceiling is bright. Did you see his last fight against that dude? What was his name? The top rank fight against the dude. You know what I'm talking about?
Guido against Guido Vanelli?
Yes, dude. Even though Torres bit down and found a way to win that, dude, he looked hella limited. I mean, he kind of just, it's one thing when he's fighting fat white guys, and he's fought a lot of fat white guys on the build to this, but that was the first guy that was bigger than him, with a pulse, with a good counter right hand when he wants to show it. And there were times that I thought that Torres looked like a glorified club fighter in there. Am I being too harsh?
I mean, it's too harsh, mate. It's too harsh. But look, I think the problem, exactly. Thank you. That is exactly what I was about to say, Mr. Sounds. He's too small. Like he's not. What is he like 6'1", 6'2"? He can't, like, now that he used to at least be fat. The fat fellas can fight, as Tyson Fury once told us. At least bring some heft into the ring. Now he's kind of. I think he's, he looks better. His mustache is great. I appreciate all those things.
He just darts in though, dude. He just darts in and creates contact. It's kind of
not much power, right? I mean, he doesn't.
It's like early Sean Porter, like in the Julio Diaz rematch. It's like get the handoff from the quarterback and just run straight ahead. Yeah,
it's tough. I also just think that these modern heavyweights, and he's just not big enough to really compete once he steps up. He'll be fun. I'm rooting. I think he's a fun fighter. Like I liked him in the amateurs, but shit, man, it's tough to be that small.
I'm with you on that. Our final question, and the support is greatly appreciated from Ian. Random question, but genuinely curious. How do y'all think Ilia Topuria would do in boxing? I honestly feel like he could win a title at 54 or 60. So, Rafe, how versed are you on the takeover of late from Ilia Topuria, who knocked out pound-for-pound ranked Alexander Volkanovski, and then to win the featherweight title, then became the first man to knock out Max Holloway and did it brutally, and then just moved up last pay-per-view to lightweight and sent Charles Oliveira, the former champion, to hell with a brutal knockout. He has what we're starting to realize is the most sophisticated and dangerous boxing attack we've ever seen. The balance, the shifting, the angles, the dude is a robotic, but not like I say robotic, meaning like it's just like the movements are perfect. I don't mean he's robotic out there. I mean, it's just like technical brilliance. And if he touches you, you're gone. I almost don't want to answer this question because I don't want to see him end up in a stupid Mayweather-McGregor type fight. How versed are you on this guy up to this point?
Not versed at all. Like I know who he is. I know I know his name. I've seen pictures of him with Zaza Pachulia and Mamushvili, the other big Georgian basketball player. That's about where it ends for me. But he sounds exciting. I love MMA strikers. Like they're the one. Like they're the ones who get me. Who I will be like, oh, I'll watch this guy.
He's very fun to watch from that standpoint because so many people in MMA, even at the championship level, have just absurdly bad head movement or defense or certain things. And he brings certainly real boxing skills. But the idea of him crossing over and winning a real title, I'm not really for that.
You can tell me how far off this is, but look. If you pay to ask a question, man, we're going to take it seriously.
Yeah, we're taking it serious.
Take
that,
but I mean, Holloway was considered like a pretty good, one of the better boxers in MMA. Was he just too old by the time they met?
Yes and no. Like Holloway's in his mid-30s, but he's been in so many wars that I think you make him, or he's in his early 30s, but he's been in so many wars that he's almost like that mid-30s point where it could be hit or miss. But he had just moved up in weight at UFC 300, taking on that killer Justin Gaethje for the BMF belt, and then delivered such a brutal one-punch knockout in the last second that it revived him. And on top of that, he kind of gave it to Topuria in the first round and a half. Like it was a beautifully competitive back and forth fight until it was over. But once it was over, it was fucking over. You know what I mean? Like Vince Carter at the 2000 dunk contest. It's over. Okay.
Like Harold Graham just got touched by Julian Jackson over.
Yes. Holloway is 32, close to 33.
I guess he's just been it seems like you said, the wars. I did not know he was that young. Kudos to him for starting young, but man, it's like he'd fought every major MMA fighter that I've heard of somehow has fought Max Holloway in his career.
And by the way, he's headlining next Saturday's UFC 318 pay-per-view, where he will have a trilogy fight with Dustin Poirier, even though Max lost the first two fights, kind of like this Taylor-Serrano thing, but no controversy involved. And it will be Dustin Poirier's retirement fight for the baddest MFer.
Also title. A member of the Hofbrau crew in Den of Thieves 1.
There you go. There it is. Whoop,
are you up on Den of Thieves?
Den of Thieves, I am not up on.
Man, you disgust me right now.
Wait, Den of Thieves.
Come on.
You're talking about the 2018 action film?
Yeah. Gerard Butler just sleazing it up. Fucking Liev Schreiber.
All right.
I mean, yes.
Oh, you're right. Max Holloway is in that.
I'm not playing.
50 Cent is in that, yo.
I think Bisping is in that too. 50 Cent is good in that.
I'm gonna watch Den of Thieves before next week's show. Yeah, next week's show will be a big one. I don't know when we're doing.
Don't get too hyped for the sequel though, which came out last year, and it's fine. But the first one is mad. Because
you got me into The Equalizer. I watched 1 and 2. I haven't seen 3 yet. All right, there we go. Hey, that's the show for this week. Next week is going to be a big one. We're going to have to recap this weekend, and we're going to set the stage for that massive one with Usyk, with Pacquiao, with Bam. When are you free? Maybe Tuesday? Maybe.
Yeah, it should work.
Yeah, all right. Love it here. Rafe always putting BC on, what does that even mean? I don't know, but
teaching you things that are useful.
Thank you for teaching me the fire, the thunder, the good shit. Rafe, thank you for your contribution today. It was great chatting box with you. I mean that,
man. I love it.
And are you going to enjoy the fights this weekend or what? You watching them live?
I think so, especially the Netflix one, right? Why not? It's on Netflix.
Yeah. Why not? And then maybe you'll find a street. They're putting that on DAZN pay-per-view at a high
$60
price.
is quite a price for that one. But yeah, I'd love to watch it live. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll find.
All right, we still have to figure out how to do a couple things. I'm going to figure out memberships on this channel. I got a meeting with Mikey scheduled, so we'll figure that out. But number 2, we got to do a deep dive on your TV history. We got to do a deep dive on my TV history. Don't forget, I was a contestant on 2 Minute Drill in 2001, the Kenny Mayne hosted ESPN trivia show. Do you want to see like a 8-second snippet of it?
I think I have to say yes.
Just personal, whatever you want to do to bond. We
so
may
are you
cut
married?
this out later. No. Are you?
Good.
No. All right, switch places. You have 11 points. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, it was a great moment in my life's history right there.
Wow. Whatever happened to Carol?
I don't know. I think she was dating hockey players most of her life, but shout out to that woman, that woman judge. Yeah, there you go. All right, that's the show. Thank you guys for following us everywhere from the beginning. For some, like Ham Sandwich, it's been the SOC days. For others, it's been even longer. But that's the show. That's Rafe Boogs. Follow him at Rafe Boogs on the Twitters. I can't wait till you write your book about boxing.
Me too. I won't keep you waiting too long.
Okay. That's it. You want to say anything else?
Nothing else. I think there's just that one last thing.
Okay. Well, then why don't we close with this great outro song, and we'll be back next week. Thank you for being here.